As mentioned earlier, the government has agreed with the unions for a 3% salary increase, while its benefits such as housing will be at 11% and transport at 14%. Joining me now on the line is Dr Micheal Akuupa, the Director of Labour Research and the Director of Labour Resources and Research Institute. Good evening and welcome to the show, Doctor.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
Doctor, did the announcement this afternoon come as a shock to you, given the various events that led to this very moment where the government has agreed to less than what was initially demanded?
Not really. Rather, it came as a sign that there was no proactivity in how the whole issue of the negotiation was dealt with. I think the conclusion of the negotiations that culminated into the agreement today would have been concluded in such a way long before, instead of having allowed it to drag on for so long at the expense of the workers through waiting, and also the unions for having had to go through the balloting process where they had to spend even a lot of resources to do that.
All right. Doctor, do you think this agreement is a victory for the unions and the workers, or could they have negotiated a much better deal than what they agreed upon?
Well, it's a give and take, and as I saw on the agreement, they still have to inform their constituencies and probably hear how they are feeling about the concluded terms of the agreement. But it's to say that one appreciates the process that has been embarked upon, as also allowed in the law of the country. But it's just to say that if government knew already from the beginning that there was a window of opportunity, they would have done this long ago. And perhaps to say better than nothing, now that they are going to get a 3% on their basic salary across the board. That means then that their salary, the basic salary, will move up a little bit. But of course, the difference, which is 7% from the initial demand, is quite a lot. So it means what they have agreed is quite less, but probably given the circumstance, as they explained to us in the media, that they have considered those. That's why they agreed to that.
Okay. I mean, you spoke about 3%. Would you say that this is satisfactory to the civil servants when it comes to their wants and their needs?
Well, it only probably shows that workers have got some level of leverage or power they can use in order to demand what is due to them. But I think there certainly is going to be divergent views with regard to the terms of this agreement and how it has been reached.
All right. Now, Doctor, how do you think this outcome will influence other potential strikes, for example, the unrest at Transnamib?
As I said earlier, that you see, workers only have that one option. And that option they have is to strike if all negotiations are failing. And we also know, for example, the history of Transnamib in terms of how it has been performing financially, including all the bailouts it has been getting from government. But what we are saying is that we are living in a very difficult moment financially, that is. It's not everybody that is getting it right. And to relate to what is happening elsewhere, strikes are happening everywhere on the globe. So Namibia is not an exception, and it is just important that people voices their problems and the processes of solving this process. The process of solving these problems must be exhausted diligently so that a conclusion can be reached. So in this regard, whether the strike at Transnamib will happen, it will happen if all avenues are explored and no one and there is no solution. But it's to say, really, there is a phenomenon really worldwide of people downing tools because the economic conditions are just so dire. And really, we have to see how we can reach each other halfway.
Lastly, Doctor, the country's high wage bill is something that has been under discussion for years now, keeping in mind that this new agreement will cost the government 924 million. Do you think it will be sustainable in the long run, given the country's economy?
I want to believe that there is somewhere where they got it. And we know the problems that relate to the conversation about the wage bill. For example, there are terms of the loan that has been spoken about recently and also a while ago, which the government has taken, that also prohibits or discourages government from improving wages of workers, and also actually to reduce the civil service. But I really think that the country needs to work out its way in terms of how it has to deal with these matters, because there is just no way that you will have civil servants working and providing services, but they're not being rewarded, and whether they're not being rewarded in relation to the inflation or as per the agreement. Now, for example, we understand that the current agreement held will only be for this year. We're still hoping that it will be improved for next year. And really, the priorities have to be realigned so that there is always resources for workers. Because as it has been, 7 years is a long time, and this salary adjustment is just going to be backdated to April. So it means still there will be a dent for workers that has been experienced through the past 7 years or so.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. That was Dr. Akuupa. That was Dr. Akuupa joining us.